here shooting my Glock 21 SF today, and it's in .45 caliber. Sometimes when you're shooting a handgun, it's just not enough. Sometimes you need a little bit more than a handgun offers you, especially in terms of range, not necessarily power. In those cases, you might want something like this. This is the Kriss Super V 45 ACP. This is an SBR. You'll notice it has a 5.5-inch barrel. Now you can buy this rifle from your local gun dealer. They're about $1,700 and they come with the 16-inch barrel. As I said, this one does have the 5.5-inch barrel and is a registered item with the NFA. So anyway, this little gun actually extends that range just a little bit. As you can see, this weapon pretty much has no recoil, and that's because the Kriss Super V system, where the bolt actually recoils down into this area of the receiver just in front of the trigger. So the Kriss actually is a recoil operated, it's not gas operated obviously, and it's very, very controllable. That's what its selling point is. It's actually insane when you shoot this thing just how controllable it is. Now the rifle does come with a folding stock, which when it's an SBR, this makes it one very small little package. So anyway, we're going to take a little bit closer look today at this Kriss Super V system and do a little bit of shooting, and I'll show you how it disassembles and basically how the gun works. So one of the things that makes the Kriss somewhat unique is the fact that it uses the Glock magazine. You'll notice that it pops right in and out of the gun, but also you'll notice I was shooting this 30-round magazine earlier. This is nothing more than a standard Glock magazine that has an extender on it that's produced by TDI, the company that manufactures the Kriss. This magazine also works in the Glock. You can actually make your Glock a 30-round handgun. So now this little this little rifle isn't unique in doing that. The Kel-Tec Sub 2000, for example, can be purchased where it uses different magazines from different firearms, including Glock, Smith & Wesson, Beretta, firearms like that. So that's not a unique feature, but it is a very nice feature to have when you're looking for a short-barreled rifle, a pistol-calibered rifle. It's nice to have not only ammunition compatibility between your handgun and your rifle, but also the ability to switch magazines, so you only have to carry around one feeding device. And that's where the benefit is in this system. Now, the cowboys in the Old West used to run around with rifles chambered in pistol calibers. The reason for that is logistics. It's much easier to carry just one caliber, and as I mentioned, one magazine. So perhaps in a military situation, this isn't an ideal setup, simply because if you're going to carry something as big as this Kriss around, you might as well have it in 5.56. But for a civilian in a shit hit the fan situation, pardon my French, this arrangement may actually make sense because it decreases the number of components you must carry for the weapons that you're going to use for survival. This weapon is probably good out to about 100 yards. That's about the limit, I would say. You could probably push it further than that. The rifle does have flip-up sights, and on it I have a Vortec strike fire red dot sight, and it has a monolithic rail that comes standard on the gun running across the top. You can put just about any red dot sight you would like on there. These sights are Midwest Industry sights. Very nice, very robust, solid little sights. They do come with the gun. This red dot sight does not come with the firearm. Now you can buy the Kriss in a package deal, and it actually comes with an EOTech. I think it's a 5.52 model that comes on the rifle. It also comes with a flashlight, which fits here in the front of the firearm. This little cap pops out, and it has a flashlight that fits in there, and then a pressure switch, which I have my Velcro here. Now this rifle, I did purchase it with all those extra accessories, but I've long since pirated them and put them on other firearms. I didn't really care for the EOTech on here, so I do have the strike fire. Let's take a closer look at this rifle being disassembled so you can better understand just how this little rifle works. So let's disassemble the Kriss Super V system here. Now the first thing that you'll want to do is drop the magazine out and make sure that the weapon's clear. As you can see, the bolt's locked to the rear. Now this firearm does actually have a feature that allows it to lock open on the last shot fired. Over here on this side of the firearm, this is your magazine, or I'm sorry, your bolt release, and this is your charging handle. Now the bolt is locked to the rear, as you can see now. If I push this lever, it actually snaps forward. So when you run the firearm empty, it locks the bolt back on the last shot fired. You just stick a new magazine in there, hit the button, and keep going, much like an AR-15, for example. To clear the weapon, I'm just going to go ahead and hold on the side here so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to pull the charging handle, it just folds up. I'm going to pull the charging handle to the rear, and with my thumb, I'm just going to hit the rear of this bolt hold device. Pull it to the rear, hit it with your thumb, release it, and the bolt locks open. So it can be done with one hand very easily. Next, you have a series of pins that hold the upper and lower assemblies together. These are non-captive pins, you just push them out. Now they do have a little detent here on the end, so they won't just fall out of the firearm. They do stay in the gun securely. And then once you have the pins out, you just pull the upper and lower receivers apart. I'm going to go ahead and put the bolt forward. All right, so then you have your upper receiver here and your lower. Now once you get into the interior of the gun, you can actually start to see how the gun works. Here's your bolt assembly, and here's your recoil spring. When the gun cycles, you can see the bolt comes to the rear, and then it starts to drop down in this lower area. You can see how it goes down versus back. That's all there is to it. And that impulse actually kicks the firearm down slightly, which counteracts the recoil impulses, which is kind of neat. To take this bolt assembly apart, there's one other pin, which is right here. Just push this pin out. Find my other pins here, and then the assembly just slides straight out the bottom of the firearm, just like that. The bolt comes out simply by twisting it, and that's just kind of the counterweight there. That's it. It's field stripped. The upper part of this firearm is actually all polymer with a steel insert here for the ejection port. There's the hammer, and the selector lever for safe and fire is right here. To fold the stock, you just depress this button with your thumb, and it folds to the side. Really simple. In the pistol grip, you have a storage compartment, which is waterproof or water sealed, has a little rubber stopper on the top of it. I've actually rolled up my paperwork, printed it like 1/2 size, rolled it up and stuck it in there, so I actually have my paperwork with the gun at all times. That's it. That's all there is to disassembling the firearm. That little 45 has some punch to it. We're shooting at about 50, 60 yards. So one thing I want to tell you about the little Kriss is that I did buy this gun when they first came out and hit the civilian market. I've had this gun for quite some time. I originally had quite a few problems with it. I couldn't get through a full magazine without a malfunction of some sort. Now, TDI has been taken over by new management. Many of the internal components that my original Kriss had in it have been replaced, redesigned, re-engineered. The guys at 21st Century Firearms contacted me because of some posts I'd made on a discussion board, and I was just talking about my Kriss not being reliable. They're actually dealers for Kriss. They contacted me and said, hey, let's get this resolved for you. I said, hey, I'd take you up on that, right? So they contacted TDI. TDI contacted me and said, send us your gun. We want to fix that up for you. I sent the gun to them a couple weeks later. They sent it back to me. I did notice that there are quite a few updates to the internal parts, as I'd mentioned earlier. This gun right now runs at 100%. They say that the gun's supposed to use particular types of ammunition, commercial ammunition, and generally speaking, it wanted the hot stuff. Well, right now, you'll notice there's quite a bit of smoke when I fire the gun. Take a look. All that smoke, that's bullseye gunpowder. I'm firing reloads out of this thing, and it's running at 100%. So I'm really impressed with the actual reliability of this firearm as it currently stands. I've been shooting it for the last week or so, and I haven't had a single malfunction with the gun. So it's doing pretty good. I think the things about this gun that really appeal to me are the fact that it's really small. As an SBR, this thing's pretty cool. Now, it has a barrel about the length of a 1911, but it does give you a stock, and I find that it's very ergonomic. It's kind of a strange-looking little gun, but it's straight in line with your eyes, and it's just a very comfortable gun to shoot. The pistol grip's very ergonomic. The triggers are actually pretty nice on this gun, and it just shoots really well. I also like the fact that with this Vortec optic that I have on here, the strike fire, I can actually co-witness my iron sights through the optic, so that works out pretty well as well. Just everything about this little firearm is pretty handy, and I actually kind of like it. Now, as I mentioned, there's some other accessories for it. The flashlight's kind of neat. The reason I took it off this gun is because it sticks out a little bit past the muzzle and you get a lot of carbon on the light. And I just was tired of boogering up the light with all that carbon. You constantly find yourself cleaning the lens. Other than that, the gun is really pleasurable to shoot, and I really do kind of like it a lot. So I'm just going to demonstrate how the Kriss works with the standard Glock magazine. I'm going to take the magazine with 10 rounds out of my Glock, stick it in the Kriss. Pretty slick, huh? All right, some final thoughts on the Kriss. I think this is a really neat little weapon, and one of the things I like about it, and the reason I enjoy shooting it so much, is first of all, it's 45 caliber. I really get a kick out of shooting 45 ACP. Even though it has a 5.5-inch barrel, at 100 yards, it's going to have enough punch, you know, to be effective. I like the fact that this firearm uses Glock magazines. It's not only chambered in 45 ACP. My Glock 21 is one of my favorite handguns, but it uses those Glock magazines, and that's kind of practical to me. If I ever want to run out of the house, I need a long gun, I'm carrying the Glock, I can just reach over, grab this, and go. It's nice having that compatibility between the handgun and the rifle. Now, do I think this thing is a replacement for a good rifle? No. Obviously, if you have a rifle in 5.56, 308, 7.60 by 39, whatever, it's going to be more effective for you. But I think that the 45 ACP shouldn't be overlooked, and the Kriss shouldn't be overlooked. In a survival situation, I think that having the same caliber and the same magazines in both your long gun and your handgun is probably beneficial. It's something to consider if you're a survivalist. The overall quality of the gun, I think it's very well built. It's mostly polymer, and everything on the inside has steel inserts and things like that. The bolt's steel. Everything that the bolt rides in is steel. It's just wrapped in polymer. Overall, I'd say that the construction is very rugged. Since getting it back from Kriss and having it updated to the most recent components, I'd say that this thing's pretty reliable. Actually, it's been 100% reliable for me. I'm not ready to proclaim that this thing is, you know, as reliable as an AK. I don't know yet, but I'm going to continue to shoot it. I'm going to shoot it a lot this summer, and I'll report back if I have any problems. But so far, I'm not anticipating having any problems. I am shooting reloads in this, and I'm shooting 230 grain ball lead rounds being pushed by bullseye, and my reloads aren't the hottest. I shoot quite a bit of them. I try to conserve on component costs, so I don't load them real hot. And this thing's functioning at 100% with those reloads. So if you're looking for a rifle, somewhat expensive. It's $1,700 per copy for the non-SBR version. For the SBR, it's about the same, but then you have the $200 tax stamp. For $1,700 it's kind of an expensive firearm, but in my opinion, if you want something that's cutting edge with the latest technology, that's definitely unique in the fact that the Super V system, how it recoils and the lack of recoil, you ought to take a look at the Kriss. I think it's a good firearm. Anyway, thanks for watching the channel, everybody. If you have any questions, feel free to post those questions to the YouTube channel. And also check us out on Facebook, which is www.facebook.com/militaryarms. Thanks. Hey everybody, I just wanted to let you know about this target that you saw today in the Kriss Super V video. I got this from my friends over at Action Target, where you can find them at www.actiontarget.com. This is what's called the Evil Roy target. I just got this from Action Target, and the reason I like this target is because this little sucker is really portable. I'm kind of used to lugging around big heavy targets, putting them together, going through a bunch of work just to get my range set up for the day. And this target holder is something else. You can literally pick this up, the legs fold up, and everything just kind of folds away. It's really cool. You just pick it up and go. Everything on the target can be done without tools. I'm just going to set the legs out here really quick. You just have these wing nuts, pop these wing nuts off. Bolts come out, target comes apart. Then to finish the disassembly, you just kind of pick this up, it locks in. You pick this up, swing it down, and when you pick the target up by the little handle here, it folds up, off you go. Anyway, like I said, you can check out the Evil Roy target from Action Target. That's www.actiontarget.com. I also put a link directly below in my video in the description. They'll take you directly to the store where you can find this target for sale. Thanks, everybody.